And yes, that's recording. Okay, so what I'm doing today is I'm making battery terminal cables. I'm just cutting up some big scraps here. Don't need anything this long. Already made my positives here. And just got to make my negatives. So what I'm going to do now is, I had a buddy that, I'm just going to walk off camera as I'm talking here. I had a buddy that was asking what I'm up to tonight, what I'm doing, stuff like that. I told him I'm in a rush, trying to get hunting season done. It's pretty late at night. I think it's like 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. I'd have to check. Anyway, I just cut that to the size I need. So I told him no, can't come over. Got to get stuff done. Yada yada yada. Told him I'll maybe throw up a video on it if I get a chance when it's done. So anyway, long story short is I'm going to show you how I put on these ends. A lot of people do them differently. This is just the way I do it. I'm in a rush again. As for the ends, I'm using these guys right here. Some people crimp them on, some people solder them on. I do both. So exactly how I used to do it when I used to work on semi-trucks. I used to be a diesel mechanic, let's say. So didn't do that for too long, but snugging that up, start my torch. The water is because I cooled down the previous ones, make it a little bit quicker, so I don't have to wait forever. So I'm just going to heat this up until I start seeing a little bit of a green flame. Then I know it's more than hot enough to start, melting solder. I'm not going to edit this video because I'm using my other camera. My other one's dead. So might take a little bit longer here. There's some green flame happening. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the solder and I'm actually going to tin around the top. Just like that, because that's the one thing I want to make sure has a good connection around the edges. Not so much on the outside, that doesn't matter. Now I'm going to spiral it, make sure I get the hole inside. And now I'm going to fill it right up to the top. You don't need to fill it up to the top really, but I do. It's just the way I always done it. Again, I'm mixing it to make sure I get a good connection. I'm not using any kind of flux or anything. You see it's right up to the top. Now what I'm going to do, leave the torch going. I'll bump the camera up a bit here. Make sure not to burn my whiskers off. Okay, what I do now is, if you leave it like this and you tin it or try to push it in, sometimes the tip is too wide. I always take just a spare terminal end, squeeze it with my finger, push this on, and then spin it. And what that's going to do is spiral the tip, and when you go to install it, you can actually screw it on, let's say, which will make a super good bond. So what I'm going to do now is heat up this wire. Now, it's hard to heat up a 4-gauge wire like this because you'll lose a lot of heat through the wire. And if you do it wrong or too much, you can actually burn the rubber. If I burn the first 1/4 inch, it's not too big of a deal. I am going to use heat shrink. So, but of course, I'm going to try not to burn it. Again, starting to see it discoloring now. You see my hands shaking a little bit, but I'm kind of hopped up on an energy drink right now. They're starting to turn green, so that means I can just start tinning the solder on. It's going to take a few more seconds. There we go. Just let some sit there. Yes, you're going to lose solder. It's going to fall everywhere. Just make sure it doesn't fall in your into your torch. Falls in your torch, you can plug one of the air vents, and that's normally a pain in the butt to try to get out. Again, the only reason I'm tinning it here is just kind of helps with make sure it's never going to come off. Helps with corrosion. Okay, so that there looks pretty well good. Not sure how well that's going to show up on the camera. I'll try to get a close up before I stick it in. There you go. So what I'm going to do now is heat up this. I'm going to switch hands here, make it easier. I hope I just didn't burn the camera with the torch there. Going to keep this just in the back temporary because it's going to take a little bit longer. I'm going to heat this up very hot. I'm still spinning the cable here because all the solder will leak down to one side. It's not quite yet melted the center. Okay, so there we go. Nice and hot. Now what I'm going to do is push this in slowly. And already starting to cool down. Okay, so what I'm going to do is push that in slowly there. And I'm going to spin it as I go in. And there we go. So I'm going to hold that there for 2-3 seconds. And seeing I'm in a hurry right now to do this video, I'm going to give it a squirt with water. Just to kind of cool it down a little bit quicker. You can see I've lost a little bit of solder out of there. Not too big of a deal. So that's in there. Now some people will stop right there and just, you know, go ahead. I'll move this down again. Some people will just stop right there and heat shrink it or use it as is. So what I'm going to do now is put it in a vise and actually crimp it with the vise. Don't want to go all the way, just to the edge of the rim. It's still a bit warm. I didn't cool it down fully. Some people actually do this when they're still hot and actually heat it up with the torch as they're crimping it. I'm not going to bother doing that because I'm sure that the solder's not going to crack. There you go. So what I do now is I'm going to dry it off on my leg, my shirt. It's a little bit warm because if you get any kind of moisture still in there when you go to crimp it, you can actually create a bubble. And of course, my heat shrink was wet. Well, it looks good there. So the heat shrink was a little bit damp, but it will be fine. So I'll bring this back up here. Might as well have the heat shrinking in the video. I'm sure you know how to do this. I'm making this video for a buddy of mine, Jeff, because, you know, this way here he can stop asking me how to do it and he can learn himself, so I don't have to do his machine. So, and of course, heat shrinking, you want to go quick. You can either use a heat gun. If you use a torch and you stop with the torch, you'll ruin your heat shrink and it'll split. Which, technically, if it splits, is not that big of a deal. You can normally work with it. And that looks perfect. So what I always do is burn the shit on my fingers. Go around it, burn shit on my fingers some more, go around it, a little bit more on the tips there, heat up the tip just a little bit, there we go. So there you go. That's how you put on an end, and these, I'm using the NASCAR Advantage, crappy Canadian Tire ones. They're not the best. If you look at how thin these walls are on there, I don't know, man, I think if I try to tighten those up any more than I need to, they're going to break. So anyway, that's my batteries that I'm using right there. Just getting ready to install them. Just got to pre-make all my cables before I do that. And picked up a carpet there for the motorhome. Got to put that in there. Every one of those bins is going in the motorhome full of shit. Got my backpack, my rifle. I just switched it over to the muzzleloader barrel. Gave it a full cleaning. I upgraded the hammer spring and a few other things. Just to, you know, because I can kind of thing. And as for that, that's pretty much it. And again, if anyone wants to see any hunting videos, just let me know, because I'm going to be starting hunting on, I'll be starting Monday, but I'll be heading out Saturday. So anyway, anyone that wants to see any hunting videos, just let me know. I'm going to upload this video just the way you see it. Oh shit, I just realized this on 2.7K at 24 frames per second. Oh god, that's going to take a long time to upgrade, or download. Anyway, anyone wants to see any hunting videos, just let me know. And I guess if not, I'll talk to you guys in probably about 2-3 weeks. Sweet.